Same song, slightly different verse. Our Norwegian vacation ends with the second Grand Prix in the nation, and this time we tackle the short course here in Hell. Interestingly though, this track is actually longer than the normal circuit. We witnessed an intense race last week that resulted in Magnus Okenhag stealing the show and thrilling the home crowd. But the question is, will Jake Robertson finally break through and not get taken out on the first lap of the race? We're going to figure it out together over the next hour as we welcome you to Longyearbyen in Norway for round 4 of the 2028 NASA RallyCross Challenge season. And this one is going to be just as crazy as last week, because it's Josh Mertz bringing you the call, as always, for the Automotive Sports Network. We are in qualifying at the current moment, and while we're doing that, we'll take a look at the practice results from earlier. Philip Kraus, fastest over Jake Robertson. Vincente Salas in third, Magnus Okenhag, John Dipple, Daniel McDonald, Matt Hartley, Jan Gronquist, Sindre Silva, and Josh Mertz is the top 10. As we have a decent amount of cars here today in Norway. 22 cars getting ready to take part. We'll take a look at the format as 4 heats, 6 laps apiece. Joker once, of course, top 2 will transfer through. 2 LCQs, the C main and the B main, 4 laps, 1 Joker, and the winner will transfer. As the final is 10 laps, 2 Jokers, 10 cars, and a crazy race here in Norway. As we will pull up the Drivers' Championship entering the second Norwegian Grand Prix. Magnus Okenhag holds the red plate again over Matt Hartley. That battle has become quite interesting over the last couple of races. John Dipple, Ray Kingsbury, Jake Robertson. That is the top 5 in points. Philip Kraus, Matt Kingsbury, Daniel Aish, Cohen Attard, and Josh Mertz are the top 10. Jarrett Liebert, Jan Gronquist, Devin Morgan, Jacob Harberts, Flynn Lazier, Daniel McDonald, Austin Derbyshire, Kevin Guy Dorsich, Marwan Moftah, Chris Sweats, Cody Erdman, Tyler Lugo Vickery, Doug Denice, Chad Mikas, Dylan Livingood, Thomas Keene, Justin Bren, Nick Dawson, Lambert Kosick Ench, and apparently Vincente Salas is called Salad, according to our timing and scoring. So thank you, SDK Gaming, for not functioning very well. As we are getting ready to begin heat number 1, we'll take a look at qualifying super quickly. What else is new? Magnus Okenhag, fastest over Jake Robertson. Vincente Salas in third. Philip Kraus and Matt Hartley are the top 5. Jan Gronquist, Daniel McDonald, Daniel Aish, Sindre Silva, Matt Kingsbury, Josh Mertz, Thomas Keene, Lambert Attard, Moftah, Flynn Lazier, Ray Kingsbury, John Dipple. Derbyshire, Tristan Hagenstein is back, and Jacob Kraus. So 21 cars getting ready here in Norway. Heat number 1, Magnus Okenhag, Matt Hartley, Sindre Silva, Jacob Kraus, and Brandon Lambert. As you'll notice, timing and scoring says 7 laps. They're not running 7 laps. It's a cool-down lap after lap number 6 to make sure potential penalties can be fixed. Ray Kingsbury is our 6th seed in heat number 1. As we get ready to go in Norway, Magnus Okenhag on pole position. Green flag. Off the line, Hartley gets into Silva. On board Lambert into turn number 1. Notice something a bit different. Turn 1 is the joker of the regular course. Around is Lambert. And into the wall. And so is Okenhag, and he's stuck in the wall. Points leader. So Sindre Silva will lead us. And points leader Okenhag is out in heat number 1. So this is crucial for Hartley, as Hartley in second, as jokers, of course, are now allowed. And Okenhag has to go to the LCQ and into turn 1 on board Silva in the 63. Getting word that A little bit of a schmozzle there into turn one. Silva got into Oakenhog, and it sent Oakenhog up the hill into the wall. We'll try and get a replay on that later on. Kingsbury third, Lambert fourth, and Jacob Kraus struggling in the 29. His first start, I believe, this season after a couple of provisionals. And Silva leads us as we begin to cross flags. Newcomer in the NASA RallyCross Challenge for the No Control Esport team, Matt Hartley, second place man in points. He's following a Norwegian, but it's not the Norwegian he expected, as those two, Oakenhog and Hartley, have been battling, I say all season. It's only been 3 races, but it's certainly been a crazy race for the Norwegian and the Australian. And Ray Kingsbury quietly in the 3rd position. Lambert in 4th, the inaugural champion, struggled there on the start. Hit the wall. And Jacob Kraus in the 29 as well. As now we begin to cross flags. In heat number 1, 2 seconds is the interval from Silva to Hartley. And if we take a look at the time delta here, it's been pretty consistent. It hasn't been too crazy. 2.3 seconds as of the last lap. I believe Jacob Kraus has parked it as well. That's why his timing and scoring puts him way up at the front. So we have 4 cars left here in heat number 1. And it's going to get interesting to see this turn 1 throughout the event, because we know it's not normally used as a turn 1. It's the joker of the regular course, so you don't see the dirt getting rubbered in very well. So throughout practice, at the end of practice, there was a black rubber line, a groove, in turn 1. So these drivers had to adapt to that hairpin. There's a couple different ways of doing it. Hartley is getting close to Silva here in the 48 to the 63. As they both battle for the heat win. White flag in heat number 1. Silva over Hartley. I don't believe either of them have jokered yet. You'll notice the joker as side-by-side Hartley with Silva. Hartley got a better run through the corner there. Will he give him a bump? He does, it looks like. Might have been netcode there. It might have been handbrake pulled from Silva. The joker is the asphalt here on the back straightaway. And I believe they have both jokered. So into the final complex. It's Silva versus Hartley, and the points leader, or co-points leader, essentially, can't get it done. Silva wins heat number 1 over Hartley. Kingsbury 3rd, Lambert 4th, Kraus 5th, and Oakenhog will come home in the 6th spot. So while they're doing that, we'll try and get a look as to what happened in turn 1. As here it is from high above. Oakenhog leads us into turn number 1. Silva gets hit by Lambert, who then hits Hartley and into Oakenhog. That's exactly what happened there. As the checkered flag in heat number 1. And confirmation, once the results pop up, of course, of Sindre Silva's win over Matt Hartley. As Hartley second, Kingsbury, Lambert, Oakenhog, and Jacob Kraus. As Jacob Kraus struggling in the 29, we know the privateer has tried very hard, especially in the NASCAR Racing 2003 days, but he is the lone car left on Big Evil Racing, as Chad Mikas has defected from his own team over to Spark VR Last Lap Motorsports. As we get ready for heat number 2 here in Norway, Jan Gronquist there in the middle, his teammate John Dipple behind him. I want to say that's Cohen Attard from high above. It is in the 131. As Matt Kingsbury in the 21. Jake Robertson should be pole position in heat number 2 as he did qualify second. And then we await for the 6th seed here in the second heat race. So we stand corrected. No 6th seed. Kingsbury jumps there a little bit. It shouldn't be a penalty as we get ready. Green flag. Robertson off the line over Gronquist into turn number 1. Remember, these guys have to be nice and neat and orderly into the first corner. Robertson runs it wide. Gronquist tries to take the lead. Side by side into turn 2. And Robertson holds it. And it's going to be a battle for the transfer. We know how quick Jake Robertson is. Attard to the inside of Gronquist, and Dipple to the inside of Attard, and Matt Kingsbury in the 21 on the back. As it was... five cars in this heat race then. At the end of the first lap, Robertson leads, already a second ahead of Jan Gronquist. Attard in 3rd, Dipple 4th, Kingsbury 5th. Let's see if anyone will take to the Joker on this first opportunity here in Norway. As Gronquist clips the curb there, trying to keep up. Attard runs it wide in turn 2. Side by side, Dipple with Kingsbury nearly. We'll get some Joker action. Attard and Gronquist. As Robertson, I want to say he did Joker as well. On board Dipple in the 34, ahead of Matt Kingsbury. And these guys have to Scandinavian flick this car into turn number 1, and if you get the line wrong, you're pretty much in the fence. And it's spectacular to see these guys do that and get it right. As the Kingsbury brothers, that Spark VR Last Lap Motorsports, I want to say, is 4th in the Constructors' Championship. They're having a good battle with MRT as Motorless Motorsport and, of course, LRL Red ahead of the field as Dipple Jokers in the 34. So Attard in 3rd, Gronquist and Jake Robertson in the lead as we begin cross flags. Why not give you a ride around this circuit in the fastest car for a lap or 2 on board Jake Robertson? So as we take the white flag here in Norway for heat number 2, you can notice the gap just progressively getting larger from Robertson to Gronquist. And Attard nowhere close to Gronquist either. And Robertson loves this. He's on his way to winning another heat race here in 2020A. But hopefully has no issues in the final. Through the final corner. It's going to be Jake Robertson winning heat number 2 ahead of Jan Gronquist. It's Cohen Attard, John Dipple, and Matt Kingsbury. Our running order at the end. Fairly clean heat race here in heat number 2. Guys, much nicer into turn number 1. But I'll have to suspect that 10 cars through that first corner is going to be quite an interesting show. Confirmation of the results as Jake Robertson will win heat number 2 ahead of Jan Gronquist. Those two will transfer through to the final. 3 bonus points and 2 bonus points respectively. Cohen Attard, John Dipple, and Matt Kingsbury will go to the last chance qualifiers here in Norway. And heat number 3 about to begin here in Norway. As we begin to grid, Vicente Salas in the 14, Marwan Moftah, Josh Mertz, Austin Derbyshire. And we're waiting for that 5th seed in heat number 3. Now this is going to be an interesting one. We know Salas is just as quick as Okenhog and Robertson. As Daniel McDonald, the 5th seed in heat number 3, green flag. Off the line, Salas and Mertz side by side to turn number 1. The newcomer alongside Mertz. Salas rips the curb there. Mertz gets turned and into the 14. Moftah goes by him along with McDonald side by side, 95 and 2. And the 2 goes from 2nd to 4th in 1 corner. As remember, no jokers on the first lap of the race. Salas ahead of Moftah, the 3-time race winner. Looks like Daniel McDonald, their transponder issues in the 95. Comes back in between the 2 and the 191 as jokers are allowed. 4 Subarus and a Volkswagen Beetle in this race. And everyone figuring out turn 1. A very difficult turn 1. As Salas already 2 seconds ahead of Moftah in the 191. Let's see who will joker at their first opportunity. Mertz does to alternate the strategy. So does Salas, it looks like, in the 14. And no strategy difference as the 2 comes out side by side with the 95, but the 95 is going to have the better run into turn number 1 here. And McDonald will hold the spot unless the 2 can get the run on the outside. Bumps the 95 through turn 1, but it's not going to be, and Daniel McDonald will hold the spot on board car number 2. I think that might have just sealed it for him. As the Subaru cars, Subaru MRT in particular, they are off pace, except Philip Kraus, but Philip Kraus is never off pace in car number 1. MRT cars off pace today in Norway. As McDonald jokered in the 95, as Moftah still holds the 2nd spot. Salas holds the lead still in car number 14. So we begin cross flags here in Norway. And Austin Derbyshire in 5th, quietly running his own little race. And on board the 14 of Salas. You see Moftah, McDonald, Mertz, and Derbyshire all in the distance, hugging that curb there, or the grass rather. And Moftah jokers in the 191. 2 laps to go for Salas in the 14. He's got this all but locked up, unless something goes wrong, as everyone else has jokered. 2.5 seconds from him to Moftah. As McDonald in 3rd, Mertz 4th, and Derbyshire in the 5th position. And this is another tricky corner, turn 3, very hard to get right. And I think Salas has already jokered, so he jokers again in the 14. And that is going to mean a disqualification for car number 14, as he did already joker earlier on in the race. As we take the white flag, as you'll see timing and scoring, it reflects Salas as out. He was disqualified as he did not park when race control told him to. And this puts Moftah and McDonald into the transfer spots. I can guarantee you the 2 is kicking himself right now, as he had that spot in his grasp, and now not so much. So Salas out of the Norwegian Grand Prix for failing to listen to race control direction. And Marwan Moftah loves that. Off the final corner, the Egyptian will win heat number 3 ahead of Daniel McDonald. Josh Mertz, the LCQ, once again in 2020A. And Austin Derbyshire comes home in the 4th position. And that's our confirmation, as the 14 was disqualified due to failing to listen to race direction. So Moftah, McDonald, Mertz, and Derbyshire, our grid order, or our results order rather, through heat number 3. And it's not like he was just not scored. He was disqualified from the event. So I don't think he will be participating in the LCQs later on, but we'll have to see. As this race gets very interesting, as one of the fastest cars here taken out due to an error. As we get ready for heat number 4, the final heat today in Norway. Thomas Keane on the outside in the Spark VR LLM black car. Philip Kraus on pole position. Flynn Lazier, his teammate. Tristan Hagenstein, we have not said his name since 2017A. The former race winner in Riverside 2016A. Daniel Aish in the middle of the first row. Getting ready for heat number 4 in Norway. Green flag. Off the line, Kraus will lead us into turn number 1, defending champion, clear of any competition, as Thomas Keane in the 4. Side by side, door banging was Aish with Kraus. And into turn 2, Flynn Lazier loves this, because if these guys make a mistake, he's going to take that spot all for himself. Into turn 3, Canadian versus Australian. Flynn Lazier 3rd. And Flynn Lazier takes to the joker on the first lap of the race. But unlike Salas in the 14, he listened to race control, he parked the car, so we'll have to see what they'll do there. But Philip Kraus leads us at the end of the first lap. Daniel Aish 2nd, Thomas Keane 3rd, Tristan Hagenstein in the 4th position. And a simple error from Flynn Lazier takes him out of the race. And Tristan Hagenstein, we remember him as the journeyman in NASA RallyCross. Always the bridesmaid, never the bride. Finally broke through in 2016A against his then teammates Erdman and Mertz. And he's made his return in his privateer Ford like he always was. And Hagenstein struggling with that Ford program. but it's great to see the Dutch driver back. As we are getting close to halfway here in heat number 4, Philip Kraus ahead of Daniel Aish. Thomas Keane struggling in the LLM Black Ford. Runs it deep there into turn number 3. As I think the 1 and the 33 just have to keep it on the track, and they will transfer through heat 4. But of course, we've seen crazier things. Remember, 2012A Riverside, it was Dylan Livingood and Josh Mertz battling for that heat race win, and they both went off the road. And hilariously, the ASN cameras cut out right as they went off the road. So you hear me talking about them going off the road, and then you see them in the sand. And I believe it was Nick Dawson who ended up transferring that day in California. As season 20 will come to a close on July 1st, 2020. Interestingly, July 1st, 2012 was the first round of the NASA RallyCross Challenge, so to bookend 20 seasons. We're not done yet, of course, as keep an eye on the Discord server for details of the 21st season of NASA RallyCross, and it will be the first season of the Automotive Sports Network coming to you live all season long. 2 laps to go for Philip Kraus. He is just gradually pulled away from Daniel Aish, as our European vacation comes to an end. Next week, we go back home again to Indiana and the Lucas Oil Raceway. So that should be an interesting race as well. Utilizes half of the oval there in Brownsburg, Indiana. Philip Kraus takes the white flag in the Spark VR sponsored Subaru MRT WRX. And the 4-time Drivers' Champion held the red plate, of course, coming into the season in Daytona Beach, but has not had the success that he is used to. But with performances like this, if he gets close to the top 2 rather, it would certainly get him closer to a 5th Drivers' Championship. Final corner, and checkered flag, another heat win for the Canadian in 2020A. Philip Kraus wins as Daniel Aish will join him in the final in the 33. Thomas Keane comes home in the 3rd position, and Tristan Hagenstein parked it in the 27 after crashing numerous times in the final corner. And remember, Flynn Lazier had that erroneous joker on the first lap of the race. So we'll get confirmation of heat number 4 results here in Norway. Philip Kraus ahead of Daniel Aish, Thomas Keane, Tristan Hagenstein, Flynn Lazier. So that's how we end the 4th heat race, and we begin the LCQs, the C main, the B main. And remember, these races only give you 1 transfer spot. So this is going to be very interesting to see who will transfer through. We'll have to see who is actually in this race in just a moment here. So Josh Mertz, Austin Derbyshire, Brandon Lambert, Jacob Kraus, and I believe it's Ray Kingsbury. Remember, Vicente Salas and Flynn Lazier had those errors in their heat races. Salas did not listen to race control, so he's disqualified. And Flynn Lazier, I think race control got a little bit mixed up. They're not allowing him on track, even though he did park. So I think those 2 are done for the day here in Norway. We're going to get ready for the C main. 4 laps, 1 joker, 1 driver transfers. This is going to be a good one. Kingsbury, Mertz, Lambert, Derbyshire, and Jacob Kraus. Green flag. Off the line, 3 wide down to turn 1. Kingsbury and Mertz side by side. Lambert getting close as well into the first corner. Mertz will pinch Kingsbury to the curb, and Kingsbury gets hit by Lambert, cutting the track as Kraus. And Mertz loves this. He pulls out to the lead. Lambert in second, Derbyshire in third, Kingsbury fourth, Jacob Kraus in fifth. Derbyshire runs it wide in the 64, gets passed by Kingsbury in the 25, into the wall goes the 64. And now it's going to be up to Lambert, the inaugural champion of the NASA Rallycross Challenge, to chase down his rival to get that transfer spot. As we begin the second lap of the race, jokers are allowed. And as this turn one rubbers in, it is going to get so difficult to get the line right, unless your name is Jake Robertson, of course. As Mertz holds the lead over Lambert. Lambert locks up the brakes there on the 46. This is his first race, actually, for Spark VR LMT with an association with LLM. So technical support, car setups, everything like that will come from the Connecticut squad. For Lambert's squad, he's missing Dylan Smith in the 47. And speaking of missing cars, Kevin Guy-Dorsich also in the 6, not here for One Sim Motorsports. 2 to go for Mertz in car number 2. Gonna try and catch his teammate on pace and join him in the final, but we still got, of course, 2 laps left to decide it. As from high above, still Lambert over Kingsbury. These guys are going to be 11th through 19th in the final classification. Unless something goes wrong with car number 2. Car number 2 already jokered. Kingsbury jokers there in the 25, comes out next to his satellite teammate, but it's not going to help him. Kingsbury holds third. White flag for Mertz in car number 2. I don't think Lambert has jokered yet in the 46, unless my eyes have deceived me, so we'll have to see here what'll happen. And I think Kingsbury coming out next to him has hurt the 46's chances of getting anything done in the C main. Into the dirt for the final time. Kingsbury getting close. That definitely seals it. Lambert hooks the curb, and not in a good way. Around goes the inaugural champion. And to make issues worse, Mertz wins again the C main and transfers through in Norway. As Ray Kingsbury gives his friend a little bump there. That's not the first time those two have come together, as those two definitely came together in turn 1. As while we are finishing up, we'll take a look at the confirmation of the results in the C main. So Mertz transfers through. He's our 9th seed in the Norwegian Grand Prix. Finishing 11th overall is Ray Kingsbury. 13th is Austin Derbyshire. 15th is Jacob Kraus. 17th, Brandon Lambert. 19th. It depends on whatever NASA officials decide to do, but Flynn Lazier and Vicente Salas are going to grid or finish 19th and 21st, but it just depends, as they don't appear on our timing screens. As this final LCQ, the B main in Norway, another 4-lap race, Thomas Keane on the grid. Couple cars missing from today's race. Chris Wetz, Dylan Livingood, so no Revolution Racing cars here today. That's the first time in quite a long time that we have not seen Revolution Racing cars on the grid. John Dipple. I want to say that's Cohen Attard. Magnus Okenhog, Cohen Attard, Tristan Hagenstein. We're missing 1 seed, I want to say, in this heat race. But we'll see as we progress to turn number 1. It's Matt Kingsbury. Can the points leader make it out of the LCQ? Or is this going to be a field day for Matt Hartley? 4 laps to decide it. Green flag. Off the line, Attard, Keane, and Dipple. 3 wide into turn number 1. Okenhog getting very close, trying. He goes to the inside, moves Kingsbury out of the way. That puts him halfway to his goal. Much better line as Dipple and Attard side by side. Dipple, as Attard gets a slowdown penalty, and Okenhog to the lead. Into his teammate, Dipple goes into Okenhog. And Kingsbury back to second. So it all worked out for Magnus Okenhog. He ends up leading the race at the end of the first lap. As Matt Kingsbury, or John Dipple, Matt Kingsbury, Thomas Keane, Cohen Attard, and Tristan Hagenstein, as those guys struggling in the back of the field. And Okenhog absolutely loves this, because he's the points leader. If he can hold this spot, he'll get into the final. He won't have any issues. Jokering, I believe, is his teammate in the 34. And Dipple did joker Kingsbury in the 21 in third. 2 to go for Okenhog in the 26. It's going to be a tall order for him to potentially win his second home race. If he wins this LCQ, he's going to seed 10th. It's going to be a hard thing to get through that turn 1. And it's a very hard track to pass on regardless. But Okenhog jokers in the 26 as we're coming to take the white flag in Norway. Kingsbury in the second spot ahead of Dipple. These are important points in the Constructors' Championship as well, because remember, the LRL teammates are separated into 2 teams. It's Gronquist and McDonald, and Dipple with Okenhog. So Kingsbury is battling for Constructors' points, because every point counts in the Constructors' Championship when you only have 2 cars. There's no Micus here today in car number 9, so the only 2 cars scoring for LLM are the Kingsbury brothers. Dipple gets shoved out of the way by Kingsbury. And it's 2 points. It's not only 1 point, it's going to be a 2-point difference to help the LLM cars in the points, as Okenhog already wins the B main ahead of Kingsbury. Dipple, Keane, Attard, and Hagenstein will be our results. And the final LCQ, as you'll notice on timing, it'll say Dipple ahead because he parked early. So timing is going to be a little bit glitched. But Magnus Okenhog ahead of Matt Kingsbury, John Dipple, Thomas Keane, Hagenstein, and Cohen Attard. So those guys will seed 12th, 14th, 16th, 18th, and 20th in the Norwegian Grand Prix. But the most important part, in Magnus Okenhog's eyes, is he's made the final, and he can take it to his championship rival, Matt Hartley. As warm-up is going to begin here in just a couple moments, we're going to go through the championship standings once again as Hagenstein crosses the line in his first race back in quite some time. So warm-up, 5-minute session, now beginning in Norway. We're going to take a look at the full Drivers' Championship coming into the Norwegian Grand Prix. So Magnus Okenhog, 3 points over Matt Hartley. This is before any bonus points. So you can see how crucial it is for Okenhog to win the LCQ. Hartley in second, Dipple in third, Ray Kingsbury, Jake Robertson, Philip Kraus, Matt Kingsbury. So what's interesting, there's going to be some shakeup here in the points because no Kingsbury brothers, no Dipple, I want to say no Cohen Attard. Josh Mertz in 10th. Jarrett Liebert ran that one race last week. He did not stay in Norway for the second Grand Prix. Jan Gronquist, Devin Morgan, who we have not seen since Daytona. Jacob Harberts, breaking the fourth wall here for a second, does not own the Hell track, so we have not seen him for the last 2 weeks, but we'll see him hopefully next week in Indianapolis. Flynn Lazier, Daniel McDonald, Austin Derbyshire, Kevin Guy Dorsich. So no Guy Dorsich in the 6. Moftah wets, no wets today, no Erdman today, no Lugo Vickery, no Denice, no Micus, no Livingood. So a lot of these middle guys in the early 20s in the classification not appearing. As Keane, Bren, Dawson, Lambert, Cossack, who we have not seen since Daytona, Dan Ench. As like I said, our timing's a little broken. Apparently Vicente Salas is called Salad. But those three at the bottom listed on the points graphic, but they have no points because they have not finished today's race. So as we are running through warm-up here in Norway, Jake Robertson, 32.599, fastest man on the circuit. This is going to be a scintillating race. Marwan Moftah, I'm not entirely sure if that timing is correct or not, but we'll roll with it. Philip Kraus, Magnus Okenhag, Sindre Silva, Matt Hartley in 7th. We'll change our timing to 10. Jan Gronquist, Hartley, McDonald, Mertz, and Daniel Aish. You want to get all the practice you can to try and take the fight to Jake Robertson. It's going to be certainly hard to do. And all these guys getting their final preparations here in Norway. And you'll notice the really fast guys are not handbraking on the asphalt anymore. They're waiting until the basically asphalted dirt to do so. As if you are interested in joining the NASA RallyCross Challenge, feel free. We'll bring this back up. Discord link there on the bottom of this graphic. Open invite every Wednesday evening. And of course, these broadcasts get done throughout the following week. That will not be an issue next season as, again, fourth wall break. I'm retiring, so you're going to have to hear me live on the Automotive Sports Network. As Mertz and Hartley battling here into turn 1. This is warm-up behind this graphic, so let's get this graphic out of the way. These two having a hell of a battle. And it might have just ended there. As Hartley holds off the two. So let's look at our manufacturer breakdown coming into today's race. Feel like a Lone Ranger if you're Jake Robertson. 9 Subarus against his Ford. We came into the season with so much parity, and yet the fast guys all in the Subaru. As we get ready for the race in Norway. Warm-up is complete. We begin gridding in just a moment. So for the 4th round of the NASA RallyCross Challenge here in 2020. Oh, is this going to be a great race? On pole position, Sindre Silva, the newcomer, after he made his message clear. Going to take him seriously in his first start. Second's going to be Jake Robertson. Third, Marwan Moftah. Then we're going to have Jacob Kraus. I want to say that's Matt Hartley, Josh Mertz, Daniel Aish, Daniel McDonald, and Magnus Okenhag. Oh boy, this is going to be a scintillating race here in Norway. Green flag. Off the line, Silva into turn number 1, side by side with Hartley. Robertson in third, side by side Gronquist with Moftaw. McDonald gets ping-ponged by his teammate. Moftaw gets turned around in the 191 along with Jan Gronquist. As McDonald and Aish battling as well. And Silva in second. Robertson takes the lead. And you could say so long to Jake Robertson. He's pulling away as we begin the second lap of the race. 2 seconds already over Matt Hartley as Magnus Okenhagen third. And these two on screen here have to be worried because we know Jake Robertson's pace. I'm not going to beat that dead horse, but Robertson is down on points. So they don't necessarily have to focus on him right now, but if he continues his obviously known performance, well, in the next couple weeks, something might change in the point standings. Silva in fourth, Kraus in fifth. As Mertz looks like he gets turned by Gronquist, McDonald, and Moftaw. So Hartley holds second over Okenhog. Okenhog went from 10th to 3rd. We kind of forgot about that one as the points leader somehow finagled his way to a podium spot. And Silva all over the track in the 63, battling with defending champion Kraus in car number 1. And it looks like a slowdown from the LRL blue car of Gronquist. So the two LRL blue cars not having a good day. There's already 4.5 seconds from Robertson to Hartley. And it's only been 2 laps. 3 laps, rather. 39.729 to a 40.205, and he gets turned by Okenhog, it looks like. So the championship contenders come together in turn 1. And Hartley, good thing we don't have open radio, Hartley is fuming in the 48. As remember, NASA RallyCross did have that open radio a couple seasons ago. Wasn't the most friendliest of things to have. Hartley Jokers comes out behind Silva. Robertson 6.6 seconds ahead of the field. Philip Kraus, defending champion, in the 5th spot. As Daniel Aish. Mertz is in 9th. Moftaw 10th. These two not having the greatest of days. We're going to take a look at the fastest lap through the event. 38.291. Fastest man on the circuit by 1.5 seconds over Magnus Okenhog. If we take a look at the last lap times, 39.3. Next closest was a 40.4 from Sindre Silva. Crossed flags have been taken. Mertz 42.125. He's been complaining on the radio, not so much complaining. He doesn't deserve to be in this final. But due to the scoring issue with Vicente Salas, that's kind of the reason why. So not a good day for the bowing out former champion. As the gap is increasing, 7.5 seconds to Magnus Okenhog. I think all Okenhog can do at this point is hold second. This is going to be a good battle for third between Silva and Hartley and Kraus. As Aish, Gronquist, McDonald, and Mertz battling again. McDonald's going to joker along with Moftaw. And Mertz gets passed by both of them. 4 laps to go for Jake Robertson. Make it 3.5 now. And the British driver pulling away. You can set sail if you can't hold him off within the first lap. Okenhog as Silva gets passed by Okenhog, so the two Norwegians battling for the podium places. As Silva and Kraus have been battling all day long for the 3rd spot. These two have been beaten and banging all race long. Kraus making his message known and pushing the 63 a little bit wide there. Hartley in 5th. So not a good day for the Australian to try and keep up with Okenhog. Certainly not going to help him on points as Gronquist, McDonald, Mertz, and Moftaw. 2 to go for Jake Robertson, 10.7 seconds every time I give you an update on the interval. And something has clicked in that 222, or maybe it's always clicked, it's just a matter of not getting taken out on the first lap. As 12 seconds, just for kicks, let's look at this graphic here. That's incredible how the delta has increased. White flag for Robertson in the 222. And it's been an easy race all day for the British driver. For the Apex Racing team to finally get their redemption in NASA Rallycross. After jokering incorrectly at Daytona, he admitted his mistake on the first lap of that race, got taken out in Atlanta, taken out here last week. But the moral of the story is you have to survive turn 1. You can't win in turn 1. And Jake Robertson finally, off the final corner, dominates in Norway and wins his first race in NASA Rallycross, 14.5 seconds ahead of Magnus Okenhog, who hasn't even finished yet, so the gap is going to be longer than that. 15 seconds. Silva comes home in 3rd on debut. Philip Kraus in 4th. 5th is Hartley. 6th at the line is Aish. 7th is Gronquist. 8th is Daniel McDonald. 9th is Moftaw. And 10th is Mertz. As we take a look at the C-Main results fairly quickly here. Kingsbury 11th, 13th Derbyshire, 15th Kraus, 17th Lambert, 19th Salas, 21st is Flynn Lazier. 12th Matt Kingsbury, 14th Thomas Keane, 16th Hagenstein. So he gets a point on return. Dipple and Cohen Attard. So the points leaving Norway. Magnus Okenhog 76 over Matt Hartley 69, Robertson 63. So all that stuff that I told you about Robertson finally getting it done, it's not going to help Hartley. Philip Kraus in 4th. Kingsbury rounds out the top 5 in points. Dipple missing the final really hurt him. He's going to drop to 6th in points, 45. As Daniel Aish, Mertz, Gronquist, and Kingsbury finish out our top 10. Daniel McDonald, Cohen Attard, Jarrett Liebert, Marwan Moftaw, Sindre Silva through 15th. Devin Morgan, Austin Derbyshire, Jacob Harberts, Flynn Lazier, and Kevin Guy Dorsich through 20th. Chris Wetz, Erdman, Lugo Vickery, Denice, Micus, Livengood, Keene, Bren, through 28th. Dawson, Lambert, Cossack, Ench, Hagenstein, Salas. So we have 34 drivers take part in a race this season. And oh boy, it's going to be great continuing through the season. Jake Robertson finally gets it done here in Norway and dominates, as we've known the British driver to do. 15 seconds ahead of Magnus Okenhog. We're going to head back to Indiana, back to the United States, and we're going to get ready for the second half of this season. But from all of us here at the Automotive Sports Network, congratulations to Jake Robertson on finally getting it done, and we'll see you next week in Indianapolis. But until then, so long, everyone.